Going to be testing out Far Cry 6 on the Lenovo Yoga 6 with the Ryzen 7 5700U. It's got the 16 gigs of 3200 megahertz DDR4 memory. I do have the BIOS setting changed to give it 2 gigs of VRAM. We'll be using the newest Radeon driver. The reason I am testing out Far Cry 6 now instead of before is because the game had texture issues before, where it was actually using low resolution bitmaps instead of actually low resolution textures, but that has been fixed recently. I was able to confirm that on my 3050 Ti laptop because it was working a couple weeks ago with GPUs that had 6 gigs of VRAM and more, but anything under that it still had the issue. So tested it out on integrated graphics now and we'll see how that looks. I am running it off of battery power. However, I do use the AMD APU Tuning Utility where I've got a temperature limit of 86 degrees Celsius set up, but use this program at your own risk. 'Cause you mess stuff up and you cook your thermal paste, that's not my fault. We're in the game now. I'm going to show you the settings I'm using on this laptop to get some really decent image quality and pretty steady 30 FPS. So unfortunately you do have to knock this game down to 720p. It will run at higher resolutions, like I was really hoping I could do 900p. It does do 1080p, but 1080p is like 12 FPS. So you do got to knock it down to 720 to get anything close to a steady 30. For the quality, everything is on low except for this setting right here, environment. I got to crank that up to medium because low looks very ugly. Let me try to toggle off Riva Tuner. Okay, watch as an example. When you toggle this to low, no puddle will have a reflection, so it ends up looking stupid. So you at least want to sacrifice a little bit of FPS to get some screen space reflections in the world. Otherwise it just ends up looking like the puddles, they look totally fake. They look like they're glowing. So you got to make that sacrifice. Everything else, leaving it alone. TAA at this low of resolution, it doesn't seem to change anything, but it does look a lot better with TAA. The SMAA does look pretty good also, except on character's hair. So I just leave it on TA because that makes all the strands of hair look pretty good. I like using the motion blur, especially at the low FPS. Helps smooth it out. The Fidelity FX CIS, I do turn that on. It does make the edges of the plants look better. For this, I'm gonna leave VSync on because it's not gonna go hardly any past 30 FPS anyway. So you might as well just turn on VSync, lock the frame rate cap so it won't render past 30. And for adaptive resolution, it doesn't seem to work right in this game. It doesn't react quick enough, so you'll see on the frame time graph, or the frame rate graph, it's spiking, trying to react, so it's pretty slow. But what I've noticed on the benchmark in the daytime, if you leave it on resolution scale 1.0, it still performs pretty well. But the problem is it's not indicative of how the game plays when you're at nighttime, especially nighttime in the rain. But to claw back some of that performance, I've got it at 90% resolution scale. I absolutely do not use this function right here, Fidelity FX Super Resolution. The 720p does not have enough pixel resolution. It looks disgusting. So what you'll see is tons of dithering and shimmering on all the surfaces. Everything fades into view. You'll see stuff like a texture just start dithering in and fading in. It looks absolutely disgusting, and it'll only get you about 45 FPS. So you can't even hit 60 turning this on. It makes the game look nasty, so I don't even use it, so don't bother with it. So I'm going to go through the benchmark and then I'll probably paste a gameplay example at the end. You would see what I'm talking about if you don't have the environment set to medium. All these wet roads look disgusting on low. Alright, so here's the frame rate graph on my preferred settings that I'm using on this laptop. Let me toggle off Riva Tuner. The average is going to get affected at the beginning because you see it starts off the benchmark at a lower FPS while it's loading everything in. That always happens, this dip right here. But I'm going to show the previous run on the settings I used on that with the adaptive resolution, and I didn't record that one just to make the video shorter. So you see if you leave it on the 1.0 resolution scale, but if you're using adaptive resolution, look at this frame rate graph. It's really spiky. It can't react fast enough. So toggle between my settings, which is right here. It's much more steady along the 30 FPS line compared to using the adaptive resolution. So now I'll probably paste in a gameplay clip. I'm going to try to get to a checkpoint, and I think I left off at nighttime. So you see, because this benchmark, it's not representative of how the game plays in the dark, because playing at night is more stressful. Okay, so we're at my checkpoint here, and it is nighttime, and it's raining, so this is about as stressful as the game's going to get for the environment. But what I wanted to show you, hopefully it shows up well in the recording, what I was talking about on the patch, is even on the low settings, look at how good your amigos look. Look at that texture resolution. You could read the back of the gun. Let me see if I can angle this with some light on here. Try to get that moonlight on here on the optic. So before the patch, this would be a blurry map mess. But now the texture resolution on your weapons looks really good. So you could actually read it, and hopefully it comes out on the recording, even though it's at nighttime. Look at how good Guapo looks now, even on low settings. So I'm going to go down there and start some trouble, and we'll see how bad the frame rate dips.
Dog. Checkpoint. Got to watch it. What do you got for me? Better watch myself here. Coño.
See, this doesn't run too bad at these settings at nighttime. Like I was saying, look at how good the textures are on the weapons.
I'm seeing troops on roads. They're almost at your position.
Look at how good this looks, and it's even on low. I'll just end the video here, but I'll toggle back into the options just to show you I didn't change anything. So it's 720p. Everything's on low except for environment, left it on medium. Got TA on. frame lock, and the 90% resolution scale seems to be the key for some decent performance with more steady frame rate than trying to use the adaptive resolution, which I'm not sure works correctly in this game.